I get a lot of DMs, and I had one recently where I asked, hey, are you going to pelvic floor PT? Because she was complaining of still having some issues. And she was super excited. She's like, yeah, this is my PT. I've been going for 4 months. Like, okay, great. Has anything changed? No. 4 months. Nothing's changed. And I took a breath and I typed back and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Who are you working with? Because where she lives, I know some people. And what are you guys doing? This is something that comes up a lot. And I get irritated by this because for a mom to carve out the time to find a pelvic floor PT, to go to a pelvic floor PT and to, do childcare if she needs it, deal with the financial aspect of it. Like, that's not a small thing, right? And then to go religiously for 4 months, nothing's changing. And I've seen this before. Like, this is not my first rodeo. And they're so freaking proud that they're going. But there's this little voice in the back of their head that's like, shouldn't things be changing by now? But they're too nervous to ask and be like, well, but their therapist is a really nice person. P.S. Like, all PTs, like 99.44% of us are all really nice people that we got into this because we want to help people. 4 months and nothing's changed. Here's my deal. Like, I want something to change. I don't care if it gets better. I don't care if it gets worse. Because here's the thing, if your symptoms get worse, that means we're onto something. That means we have more information. If things get better, great, that's kind of the plan. But mother of God, like, you're going to somebody diligently for 4 months, you're throwing all your resources at it, and nothing's changed. And this is where I really, I think it's incredibly important to have this therapeutic alliance, this partnership with your therapist, that they feel comfortable excuse me, that you feel comfortable telling your therapist, hey, what's up? Like, I thought things would be changing by now. But here's the other thing too. You shouldn't have to ask. It should literally be, they sit down, explain your why. Then they should be able to be like, hey, this is kind of when we should start to notice change. And this is what my process is. I give you something to do. You come back, you tell me how it goes. If things are better, we do this. If it's worse, we do this. If nothing's changed, we do this. Like, that's not hard, because there's certain things that are finite, like tissue healing, finite. Like responses, like if you go do something as a patient and then come back and you have some feedback, you can do something based on feedback. You can progress exercises. You can replace exercises. I know that's a new concept for a lot of therapists that like to do these really long lists of exercises. If you're going to add one, take one away. Moms appreciate that. But yeah, not cool. Like, honestly, even a month if things aren't changing. And I think as a therapist, it's hard because, depending on where you work, you might have a lot of things that you're doing, or a high caseload or productivity requirements. Like, totally understand, but you should not be doing the same thing with a patient over and over again, especially if their symptoms aren't changing. Like, let's just beat our head against a brick wall for 4 months and see what happens. Like, nothing good. So here's my advice. If you are a mom and this is happening to you, let's give benefit of the doubt. Let's ask, hey, did you expect nothing to happen for 4 months? What are we going to do about it? And if that person doesn't have an answer, like, this is all I've got, okay, at least you have that answer. If that person is like, hey, you know what, this is the end of where my skill set is, let's see if we can find you somebody who can dive into this more. Great. That's the bulk of what my practice is second, third opinions. If you have somebody that just ignores you, I think that kind of answers it too. But either way, that's not the kind of relationship like that you should strive to have with your therapist. It should be a therapeutic alliance. It should be a collaboration. It's more coaching than do as I say. Like, there's some patients, I'll be honest, I'm like, please just like stick with the plan here. I promise, like, instead of going off the rails, you'll be fine. Like, if you just stick with the plan, there's some like that. But like, again, it's like, it's a relationship. It's a give and a take. And therapists, pause for a second. If you've been doing the same damn treatment with your patient for, I don't know, more than 2 weeks consecutively, time to do something different, especially if they're not getting any better. Like, that's not okay. So I would love to hear from you guys. Has this happened to you? What did you do? How did you figure out to do something different? Or are you in that situation now? And then if you're a therapist, if this is you and you're like, okay, I just don't have any other options, like, happy to chat that one out too. First step is admitting that there's a problem to be solved. And don't get me wrong, I had a period in my career where that very much was the case. Granted, it was a long time ago, and I decided that wasn't how I wanted to practice. But as patients, we can't accept it. We need to ask for more. And as providers, we need to expect more of ourselves, and we need to provide better. So moral of the story is, if you're seeing a pelvic floor physical therapist, or any therapist, for example, for that matter, you should be getting change. And if it's not changing, that should have been a conversation up front. Like, hey, we're not going to see changes probably for about a couple of weeks or something like that. Or like, again, we should be able to map this stuff out, because strength changes happen in a certain period of time. They should be able to predict coordination changes, tissue healing. Like, that's all predictable stuff. So anyway, hop in my DMs. I would love to hear your experience. And sorry, it's just a soapbox.